You know, with MLS expansion teams, it doesn't take too long to figure them out. I mean, you could pretty much tell right away whether they'll be contending from day one or if it's gonna take a few years to get the ball rolling.
Take 2017, Minnesota United. After just 2 games, everyone already knew that this team was hot garbage, and they were not going to be competing for anything anytime soon. And then in the same year, you had the polar opposite in Atlanta, who already looked like a powerhouse in the making. Guzan, LGP, Almiron, Joseph Martinez, that team was just stacked, top to bottom. And a year later, in 2018, we got LAFC.
Man, it's really hard being a supporter of a team that's bad. I mean, here I am, watching my team continuously lose for over a decade, while Atlanta and now LAFC just waltz right into the league and immediately start winning. It's not fair.
With LAFC, I didn't even need to see them play a game. I knew they were legit. I mean, they did just about everything right from the jump. Talking about an all-star ownership group comprised of businessmen, former athletes, and celebrities. A beautiful $350 million gem of a downtown stadium. A coaching staff led by a proven winner in MLS. And a roster which included a mix of exciting young prospects and savvy MLS veterans. And of course, Carlos Vela, the most important piece, the perfect piece to build this team around. At just 29 years old, they got a guy who put up respectable numbers in La Liga. And let's be honest, respectable in La Liga, that's going to translate to domination in MLS. Also, it was Carlos Vela, Mexican national teamer Carlos Vela. If LAFC had any chance at competing with the Galaxy for fan support, they needed to tap into the huge Latino market in Los Angeles. And before they even played a single game, LAFC accomplished what Chivas USA never could. And in their first 3 seasons, they have been as good or maybe even better than advertised. I mean, they've made the playoffs all 3 years, and in 2019, they won their first major trophy, winning the Supporters' Shield with the best record ever recorded in an MLS season. Carlos Vela that year also broke the record for most goals in a season with a ludicrous 34 goals in just 31 games.
All right, now, I've been giving them a lot of credit that is deserved. But there's one thing that we can all knock LAFC down for. They don't have a great record in big games.
They hold a losing record in El Tráfico, their derby against crosstown rivals, LA Galaxy. This despite the fact that the Galaxy have clearly been the inferior team the last 3 seasons. Now, they did win their only playoff matchup, so at least they have that going for them. But hey, speaking of the playoffs, LAFC have a record of just 1-3. In 2018, they were eliminated by a Daniel LaRusso crane kick to underdog RSL. The next year, in 2019, they were knocked out by underdog Seattle. And then, in 2020, they had an opportunity for revenge against Seattle, but again, fell short. Oh, and in the MLS's Bag tournament, they gave up a last-minute equalizer to João Moutinho, the first ever player they drafted in the MLS Super Draft. They ended up losing that game in the PK shootout, their second ever PK shootout loss, because remember, they lost in the 2018 US Open Cup semifinal in PKs to the Houston Dynamo.
Okay, part of me feels like it's too early to criticize LAFC. I mean, Jesus Christ, they are only 3 years old. But in basically all of those games that I had just mentioned, with the exception of the 2020 playoff matchup with Seattle, LAFC were the favorites, and they managed to lose them all. So that's gotta count for something, right? But despite all their shortcomings against the Galaxy and in knockout tournaments, all that criticism can be wiped away if they manage to win the most coveted trophy, the CONCACAF Champions League. And heading into the 2020 edition, I really did feel like LAFC had the best chance among all the other MLS teams.
Until I saw the draw. I mean, come on. The CONCACAF gods were not kind to LAFC. The Sounders had Olympia of Honduras in the first round, and either Saprissa or Montreal in the quarters. I mean, come on, if any MLS team was going to make a run, you had to bet on the Sounders, right? I mean, they have the most experience in the tournament of any other MLS team. They got the easiest path to the final. Oh. Never mind. LAFC, Club León.
This was a big one. I've said it before, it's worth mentioning again. Liga MX is the class of CONCACAF. God, I hate admitting that. But it's true. They are the only league to win the modern-day Champions League. But this is LAFC, the best team in MLS last season, the team with the freaking ESPN Plus show. If they get blasted, if they get humiliated, that'll just be more proof of how far behind MLS is of Liga MX.
Okay, so first leg on the road, just go in there, lock it up and back. If you can steal away an away goal, great. Just don't lose by multiple. Oh!
Goddamn son of a bitch!
LAFC lost the first leg to Club León 2-0. Disappointing for a number of reasons. First, well, kudos to the huge number of traveling supporters. I'm used to Liga MX fans dwarfing MLS crowds, so it was nice to see the 32-52 step up. I would have thought these huge numbers of traveling supporters would have energized LAFC, but doesn't appear to have done much. Secondly, León dominated this match. They were just flying up and down the pitch, and it was like LAFC had forgotten they were playing a game. For the best of MLS to come out just so flat was disheartening. And third, the most disappointing part of it all, even though León was all over LAFC, it was only 1-0 until the very end. If LA could have just escaped only down by 1, I'd have full confidence that they can come back in the second leg. But giving up that second goal so late, it was a heartbreaker. And honestly, admittedly, after that, I thought it was over. I prepared myself for the endless trolling by Liga MX supporters, because how could a team that got so outplayed in that first leg, how could they come back in leg 2 and pull this off? It didn't seem possible. But then, something weird happened. Leg 2 was almost the exact opposite. It was LAFC who controlled the tempo. It was LAFC who dominated the shot count. And this wasn't a case of León just putting out their B team for the away leg. No, this was nearly an identical lineup from the first leg. One of the big differences for LAFC, however, was that they now had Atuesta, who they didn't have the first leg. Considering LAFC had lost 6 of 7 games this season without Atuesta, yeah, you could say he's kind of a big deal for this team. Vela scored in the 27th minute to give the home side some life, and then struck again in the 77th minute to tie the aggregate. León, perhaps still trying to figure out what was happening, gave up another goal just 2 minutes later to Diego Rossi, assisted by Atuesta. Was this chip intentional? I don't know. But it doesn't matter. It went into the back of the net, and LAFC pulled off the miracle. LAFC pulled off the comeback. A 3-0 win over a Liga MX side. One of the best wins ever by an MLS team in this tournament.
after that win, I was so excited because it's like, if they could beat this team, then they could beat any team in this tournament. And I really started to believe this could be the year an MLS team finally wins the CONCACAF Champions League. And then that thing happened that shut the whole world down and stopped all sports. You guys don't need me to talk about the pandemic, right? Like, we all lived through it. I could just skip ahead, right? So CONCACAF eventually, and that's the key word here, eventually announced that the Champions League would be concluding in December. And it's all going to take place in one location, Orlando again. And it's all going to be single leg now. And it's all going to take about a week to finish up. Okay, I don't know why it took CONCACAF so long to make this announcement. Like other leagues, other tournaments, they announced what they were doing long ago, and then meanwhile, it was complete radio silence from CONCACAF. And I didn't really like how they were switching the format up halfway through the tournament. Whatever. In my opinion, it's not a big deal to get all bent out of shape out of it. I was just happy the Champions League was finally finishing up. So on to the single leg quarterfinals.
LAFC, Cruz Azul.
Now, this LAFC side was no longer coming off the best season in MLS history. They were now coming off a season in which they finished 7th place in the Western Conference. However, much of 2020 was spent without Carlos Vela. He missed the MLS's back tournament and missed a lot of time after that with injuries. So luckily for LAFC, Carlos Vela was back and healthy.
And unluckily for Cruz Azul, they were missing Jonathan Rodriguez, who had led Liga MX in scoring that year with 12 goals. That was a pretty big loss. After an early offside scare, Rossi blasted the crossbar in the 9th minute, and then Cruz Azul would take the lead with the Yotun PK. I have seen too many MLS teams fold in these moments. They start finding a groove, get some good possession going, and then once a Liga MX team scores, the floodgates just open, and it's all over. I've seen this script written before so many times. But instead of falling into that trap, LAFC only seemed to get stronger after that goal. Mark Anthony Kaye had a golden opportunity, which was denied by the Cruz Azul keeper, and then LAFC earned their own PK. Did Vela keep out his leg extended a little longer than he needed to? Maybe, but it was still contact by the keeper, so I don't know how you can argue that. And then Vela, well, he just doesn't miss from the PK. 1-1. And then, in the 71st minute, ball bounces out to second half sub, 19-year-old Kwadwo Apuko. One-timer, exquisite, hit perfectly, unreal strike. This is a guy who made 3 appearances and had no goals in 2020. The most unlikely hero from LAFC, and a moment he will never forget. LAFC hold on to the win and advanced to the semis. LAFC, Club America.
Now, LAFC and Cruz Azul was an entertaining match. LAFC and Club America was pure insanity. The type of match that if you saw it in a movie, you would dismiss the entire film because of how unrealistic it was.
So in the 8th minute, Leo Suarez, shatters his knee after Diego Palacios hits him in the calf. And then Club America scores shortly after on a corner to once again put LAFC in an early hole. So the match was already getting pretty chippy, but LAFC was holding on. They were getting their opportunities and... Wait, what the hell? What's going on here? Okay, so now 2 players are gravely hurt. Maybe the replay will sort this out. Well, Atuesta appears to get kicked in the stomach, and my initial reaction is PK for LAFC. However, and maybe I'm crazy for saying this, it's a tough angle, and honestly, I can't tell if the ball is kicked first, if Atuesta's maybe embellishing it. Honestly, it would not be the worst missed call out there. But then, Ochoa, with an Oscar-worthy performance, acting like he was just shot in the face after Atuesta very clearly does not make any contact with him. And then Atuesta goes down after Club America shoves him.
You know what? I'll say it. Pretty shameless and embarrassing on both sides. I hate diving. I hate flopping. It is the one thing I cannot defend to the soccer haters. Because it is just so cowardly. And for a keeper like Ochoa, a guy that I really liked, for him to stoop down to that level, that is just so disappointing. And you know what? LAFC, yeah, they're guilty of it too. Let's not pretend that Rossi and Vela don't do their fair share of acting whenever they get touched.
However, this is one of the worst displays of flopping I have seen in a while. It was a circus act. And unfortunately for LAFC, the referee bought it hook, line, and sinker. Atuesta was sent off. Ridiculous. Oh, and then at the end of the half, LAFC assistant coach Ante Razov and Club America head coach Miguel Herrera get into it, and both of them are sent off. Except Herrera wasn't really sent off because he was then spotted in the stands in the second half using a walkie-talkie to communicate with his other coaches.
I'm not even mad at that one. That's pretty funny.
Now, I don't know if there's some supernatural force out there called karma, but it sure seems like it after what happened in the second half. Seconds after the second half kicked off, Vela picked off a terrible pass and then put it home. I've honestly never seen a Liga MX defender make that kind of mistake on an MLS team, but whatever, game on. And then, a minute later, Vela gets on a long ball and slots it past Ochoa. And oh my God, 10-man LAFC is actually winning 2-1. Then, in second half stoppage time, Latif Blessing pounced on a rebound to give LAFC the insurance goal. 10 men, 3 second half goals, in what will go down as one of the craziest CCL matches of all time. As a result of this match, Club America fired Miguel Herrera. Now, I know a lot of people have said they don't want to see Herrera in MLS. Are you kidding me? I would take him in a heartbeat. Can you imagine him managing like the LA Galaxy? Herrera versus Bob Bradley multiple times a year? I would love that. Give me the drama. Okay, I got to get back on track. But I still had to point that out because I would love to see this guy in MLS. LAFC, Tigres.
You had LAFC representing MLS, a league that had lost 3 previous CCL finals, taking on Tigres, a Liga MX team that had lost 3 previous CCL finals. Something had to give.
Tigres have had quite a decade, winning 5 Liga MX tournaments, including the 2019 Clausura, which is how they qualified for the 2020 CONCACAF Champions League. This one was billed as Vela versus Gignac, who was the best player on the continent.
This just felt like fate. I mean, LAFC were the first MLS team to knock out 3 Liga MX sides in the same CCL tournament. All they needed to do was beat one more team. Now, the first half was admittedly a little forgettable. It It was a chess match, both teams figuring each other out. No golden opportunities yet. Although I will say, I do like how LAFC was approaching this game.
They were sprinting to each ball. They were getting in the keeper's face. Okay, this is kind of funny. They knew this was the last game. They had to put on the pressure, and they were just waiting for Tigres to make that mistake. In the 61st minute, LAFC took the lead with a fantastic team goal, finished off by Rossi. What? LAFC not giving up the first goal? Blasphemy!
It was happening! LAFC was really winning. They were pulling this off. Finally, after all these years of Liga MX stomping MLS, the tide was turning. Until it wasn't.
Perhaps it was the absence of Atuesta. Perhaps LAFC just ran out of gas. But it didn't really matter what it was. It was the same story that's been written time and time again. It was a special run from this team. I mean, they knocked out 3 Liga MX teams to get to the final. But ultimately, no one's really going to care about that. Because LAFC, once again, fell short. I'm finding out that each time, the pain of losing is a little greater than the last time. I did not think anything would top TFC's loss in 2018, but this tops it.
It's gonna happen. Eventually, an MLS team will win the CONCACAF Champions League. Because no longer does an MLS team only make the final in a blue moon, and no longer are MLS teams completely played off the pitch by Liga MX sides. Okay, sometimes they are still, but it's more rare today than what it was yesterday. MLS is almost there. Not yet. Please, dear God, do not make part 5 another video where an MLS team loses. Please. Let us win next time. And with that being said, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.